We have reached biblical levels of coping. Biblical, baby, levels of coping because Pokemon fans cannot stand that Palworld is succeeding, bro. They can't believe that Palworld actually has fans that aren't just angry, disaffected Pokemon players. Let's go.
We're drama farming today. Yeah, that's right. We're doubling back because apparently Palworld has broken people's minds instead of just celebrating the game for the success that it's found and also for the fact that Nintendo finally has a real competitor for Pokemon. No, you have people that have fallen into psychosis, a deep level of coping that
this is the second video in a row about a Nintendo topic where someone has said psychosis. Is that weird to anyone else? Like, Homeboy in the last video was talking about Smash players being in a psychosis, and now we got Pokemon fans. All Nintendo fans are just in a psychosis.
we never even thought was possible. Scientists need to study this thing because, man, is it horrendous. In the face of Palworld's continued success, and oh man, is it successful, these people just won't let it be. Palworld derangement syndrome, where regardless of the facts that are right in front of them, this game has to constantly be under attack. You have people accusing Palworld and Pocketpair of walking into Nintendo's offices and stealing assets right off of their desks. You got some people that are...
Now, I don't know about that being literal. There's only one asset that I know they stole. Like factually that they did steal. In the earliest I found this within the first week of the game's what's it called? Early access. If Stroud's still here, he might remember this. We were streaming with Blaine on Blaine's Escape Corner when he was trying out the game for the first time. And again, this was like within the first week. And there was the milk item. The milk item in your inventory straight up was a render of the Lon Ranch milk from Zelda. It was. I assume that got patched out real fucking quick. That is the only actual asset that I can confirm was stolen. Everything else to me, it seems like bullshit. Oh, maybe it was too close a reference, whatever. But all in all, that's the only one that I know of.
Saying that regardless of what you're seeing online, don't believe a damn thing because this game, it's actually a failure. It's a flop. It's a laughing stock in most countries. Desmond, bro, you guys just don't see it because it's not real. And even if this game is popular, well, the only reason why is because of internet grifters and YouTubers. Thank you. That are only rallying the troops and trying to get people to play this game for one reason. To make Pokemon fans mad.
Guys, I'm gonna be real. I didn't think I would like Palworld. Not because I'm some Pokemon fan, not because I'm some Nintendo shill. By and large, I don't like survival games. There's a few. I like Minecraft, right? I'll admit it. I like Minecraft. Most survival games are boring as fuck to me. The gameplay loop isn't fun. There's no story. I don't like The Forest. I don't like Subnautica. I'm just not a fan of survival games. So I didn't think I would like Palworld. Homie, I fucking love it. I'm so fucking addicted to it. And it's because, yeah, the survival's there. But from a gameplay perspective, it feels so much closer to Breath of the Wild than it does any of the mainstream survival games.
Guys, that's just a side benefit. The ego on these guys is just absolutely absurd. What many people fail to realize is the vast majority of people that are playing Palworld right now, they're Pokemon fans or former Pokemon fans. Or they're people that have always wanted to get into one of these games, but maybe it just didn't suit them for whatever reason. It wasn't mature enough, maybe. Or maybe, I don't know, they just didn't want to have to buy a whole console just to be able to do so.
I also love
Nintendo is the one that opened this door. They're the ones that let Palworld through. That needs to be recognized. So today, we're going to roll around in the mud a little bit, maybe sling a little bit of it ourselves. We're going to set the record.
I'm deeply terrified of water. Straight to the mail. It is very well known, very well documented on my channel. I haven't built any fear of water. Subnautica fucked with me. I was telling, I think it was Cinny talking about on stream yesterday. I was telling Cinny, yeah, Subnautica freaked me out.
Right. And we're going to talk about how Palworld's success isn't even over yet. Hell, it's probably not even begun. This thing's only going to get bigger. Normally, I don't circle back around to a topic. I like to stick and move when it comes to the things that I cover, but Palworld continued to gain momentum over the weekend, and while my timeline has been filled with people that have been cheering on the game's success, there have been more people either defending Palworld or documenting some of the highest grade meltdowns and coping that I've ever seen.
Let's talk about this comment for a moment. Palworld, it doesn't hurt that Palworld is $30 at full price and offers so much more than any Pokemon game. I would like to remind you guys that Nintendo said very recently that they are going to be increasing the price of their Pokemon games. And remember, Pokemon games come out in dual positions, right? Like dual releases. And they're going to be increasing the price of them. And the reasoning was in effort to get people to buy both. Fucking like I when I first read that, I thought it had to be a mistranslation. How does increasing the price incentivize you to buy both? We got Piplup with a 5-banger here. Imagine Palworld created a new tower boss. Looks similar to Ash Ketchum for Pokemon. Is the one goal to destroy Palapagos because he hates it. That level of trolling would be amazing. I need this. I live for this. Please, Pocketpair, do this. Make a troll version of Ash Ketchum or Red or fucking Professor Oak or something like that as a tower boss. That would be incredible. Thank you for the 5-banger, homie.
From the darkest corners of the Pokemon fandom. And I think that it is very important to make that distinction because I don't think that these conversations are coming from well-adjusted fans of the largest franchise in history. No, I think that they are coming from the most terminally millennial rejects that have not only made a franchise, but a multi-billion-dollar corporation their god and their identity. I'm talking.
You have to remember, because he's right when it comes to being their identity. Pokemon is the largest the largest IP in the world. And it's not even close. It's not like Pokemon is the largest. I'm pretty sure Hello Kitty is the second largest. And the gap between them is banoodly. It's insane. And this is why, people are out there chastising the $350 fucking Pokemon Legos. Now, I went on record actually disagreeing with Wizard on this one, saying, to be fair, that's not all Nintendo and not all Pokemon. Because Lego is also doing this. Lego has jacked their prices up to a stupid degree, not only for their branded license deal stuff, but also just their regular sets. So these sorts of prices are normal for Lego. It's not just, but that doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, Pokemon fans are going to pay that. Fucking Pokemon fans are going to pay the $350 for a fucking Pikachu Lego. That's right. Brick by brick. And they are obsessed. Like, Pokemon is a religion to them. And while I am down with any religion based upon slavery, Pokemon's the exception.
Talking about 40-year-olds with Pokemon trainer profile pictures staking out your local Costco and Target in their Vaporeon is my waifu t-shirt while they're in there in the early hours of the morning just so they can sumo wrestle each other for a box of Pokemon cards out of the fear that a mom of a 10-year-old might want to buy a pack or two because her kid.
But see, and that's the thing. This isn't even Pokemon fans. These are scalpers that are taking advantage of the Pokemon fans, and I don't care. Like, this might be my most controversial take this video. I don't care that there's scalpers out there scalping Pokemon cards. You deserve it. If you're a Pokemon fan and you're willing to pay these prices and whatnot because you just need your holofoil Pikachu, fuck you. You have earned every bit of what these scalpers are doing. If there's a market, exploit that market. There are dumb motherfuckers out there willing to pay it. Man, I went to an event a couple years ago. I went to Collecticon, right? Collecticon was awesome. It's mostly a trading card game convention. And obviously with Pokemon being what it is, there's a lot of Pokemon. Somehow I ended up in like, this is fucking crazy. I'm not making an ounce of this story up. I've told it before, but some of y'all might be new here. So there was a pre-night party before the convention started. It's a 2-day con, Saturday, Sunday. But on Friday night, there was a pre-con party for like vendors and stuff. Somehow I made it in there. I don't know what went down, but like I got to be back there. It was like a mafia meeting, dude. I was watching $15,000 deals going down for Pokemon cards. I actually witnessed somebody break out a fucking suitcase, open it up, cash money. Like in the fucking movies. That is how insane these like high dollar vendors and stuff take Pokemon. It was like life-changing to just witness that, because I got to see how like the backroom mafia style dealings work for Pokemon cards. It was bananas. So yeah, if there's scalpers out there wrestling each other for boxes and shit so they can resell them for God knows what level of profit because people are too fucking stupid to realize they shouldn't be paying that, that's on you. You fucking deserve it. Dude, yeah, straight up IRL Seto Kaiba
came home with a good report card. Palworld's success has broken these people. No game should ever or can ever come close to the franchise that they've dedicated their entire lives to. And as
I'm not kidding, that was
success has continued, these people have only fallen deeper into depravity. Since my last video talking about the game, Palworld has somehow broken yet another milestone, climbing to a peak concurrent player count of over 960,000 players. That means Palworld has now entered the top 10 most played games in Steam's history twice over. First by...
That's awesome. That like, this is back when SNL actually mattered. This is like entering the Fivers Club, right? The people who hosted 5 times. Number 2 behind PUBG. Number 2. That is in good company. Hogwarts Legacy, Elden Ring, Black Myth Wukong, Counter-Strike 2. I said PUBG a minute ago. I flipped these in my head. For some reason, I think it's CSGO and PUBG. I got them flipped. Either way, that is awesome.
Breaking Counter-Strike 2 with 2.1 million players, and then now by returning and breaking past Elden Ring. These numbers are absolutely insane. They are shared by some of the highest selling, most popular, and most prestigious games in the entire industry. But for whatever reason, some people have decided that that simply just is not enough. In response to the latest peak, one person had said, "This would be impressive if it had doubled the early access launch peak, but it is currently below 50% of its peak CCU. And with only 16K new user reviews added since 1.0, that means barely anyone playing Palworld right now is a new player."
That makes it more impressive. That means that Palworld was so good. Because remember, this has been in early access for about 2 years now. That means it has maintained its player base. Plus gain new play. It doesn't matter. Oh, it's only 16. First of all, we know good goddamn well it's way more than 60. Yeah, most people don't leave reviews. So if it got 16,000 new reviews, you could easily probably like extrapolate that number far larger. Because again, most people don't leave reviews. 16,000 reviews is a lot. But to add to that, that means even if most are like the same players, then it maintained its longevity for 2 fucking years. That is nearly impossible for the vast majority of games. Like Black Myth Wukong, yeah, it may have had well over 2 million concurrent players. Doesn't have that now. Now, granted, it's a very different kind of game. It's a solo player, single story. I get there's a million caveats and variables, but the point is, maintaining your longevity for the 1.0 release, that is incredible.
And doubled down later, saying that the game is completely and utterly a flop in Japan, citing that Japanese player reviews only made up 1% of the game's 442,000 global reviews. This is what happens when somebody discovers.
Wouldn't that be a good thing? Because the journalists reliably informed me when Black Myth Wukong came out that the Asian market doesn't matter. They were like, oh, well, the vast majority of the players for Black Myth Wukong are in China. Okay. And a game sold is a game sold. Now you're saying, oh, there's a flop in Japan. I thought you said the Asian market don't matter. If the Asian market don't matter, why do you care if it's a flop in Japan?
SteamDB before they discover statistical literacy. They have the concurrent player counts, percentages, review totals, regional breakdowns. They got the whole forensic investigation laid out right in front of them, and yet somehow they understand less about Palworld's performance than somebody that looked at that chart for about 5 seconds. A non-live service game bringing back nearly 1 million concurrent players years after its launch is statistically absurd. Even Elden Ring, one of the most celebrated games ever made, returned roughly 70% of its original peak with a massive expansion. Palworld returning nearly half of its historic 2.1 million players at its launch is not evidence of failure. It's evidence of an enormous existing audience returning alongside a flood of new players. And using 16,000 new reviews, or the percentage of Japanese language reviews from a predominantly console-based country to be able to calculate how many.
And there it is. He said what you guys say in chat. It's predominantly console-based. Like, the vast majority of this game's sales, and by a wide fucking margin, have been on Steam. It's not even fucking close. Like, I know people that played the game free on Game Pass when it was in early access. Because, like, when the game was in early access, it was free on Game Pass, and they still bought the early access version on Steam. Like, they were playing it for free. They loved it so much in early access that they bought it on Steam. This is overwhelmingly a Steam game. Shout out to Retromeister, member for 4 months. I'm loving the Nintendo slowly losing its customers to the idiocracy and making them the Disney of video games, and rightfully so. Fuck Nintendo and Pokemon. And they've always been the Disney of video games. But just like how Disney used to be a great company, Nintendo used to be a great company. Just like how Disney's fallen off, Nintendo's fallen the fuck off. I did a post on X earlier shredding Miyamoto. I used to think Miyamoto was like one of the gods of gaming. And to be fair, like in the game dev industry, history-wise, he is. But he has lost the fucking plot.
New people are actually playing the game is honestly ridiculous. The vast majority of players never even leave a review. They cite the 442,000 global reviews accumulated over the course of 2 years, but Palworld sold 15 million copies on Steam in its first month alone, back 2 years ago. Even against that opening month number, reviews represent less than 3% of players. They are trying to measure an ocean with a shot glass, and they're writing it down to the 6 decimal place. Japan makes this argument even dumber. It is one of the weakest major markets for PC gaming, with console players outnumbering PC players nearly 2-1 and mobile players nearly 4-1. Of course, Japanese Steam reviews are going to be disproportionately low. According to Famitsu, Resident Evil Requiem is the 7th most popular game of the year in Japan, yet only 986 of its more than 104,000 Steam reviews are actually in Japanese.
And mind you guys, this game fucking sucks.
That's not even 1%. So what are these people even doing? They are speaking with absolute certainty about data that they never even tried to understand, let alone even verify. This is entry-level math, and this man is out here publishing Twitter dissertations like he completed the Human Genome Project because he just learned how to divide 2 numbers.
Base, Tiger King.
Then we have people who wouldn't even be bothered to misread the numbers because they would much rather just deny reality entirely. Some people are claiming that the only reason that Palworld surged over the weekend was because, well, YouTubers and their audiences were just playing the game out of spite.
And people tried to make the argument that the Sunday numbers failed. Oh, it dipped. It dropped like 200,000 players on Sunday. Yeah. Sunday, the last day of the World Cup, the biggest sporting event in the fucking world. I would absolutely expect numbers on Sunday to drop because of the last day of the World Cup. Guess what happened when the World Cup was over? The numbers shot the fuck back up. The numbers returned to normal. They tried to spin a narrative that the game was failing because of how it ended the weekend. Dumb motherfuckers, dude.
Other people said that, well, the creators once worked in crypto, so they just kind of decided that every positive post about the game is coming from bots, scammers, or some coordinated campaign. And when none of that works, well, then they just throw their hands up and ask why anyone cares at all. One Nintendo content creator had said, as people spam Palworld's live player count, I ask again, why any of us care? There are likely 15 million people playing Roblox right now. Nobody seems to care about that. It's just
Okay, to be fair, we do care about people playing Roblox right now because 50 million of those people, we had to figure out what the ratio is of underage individuals to groomer adults on the platform. But that's totally different. No, the reason we care about Palworld's live player count is because this is a brand new game. Sort of. I mean, yeah, 2 years early access, but all comparatively to things like Pokemon, Zelda, Mario, Sonic, Resident Evil, this is a new IP. Is maintaining its player base, is finding new players every day. The number is, if not growing, at least staying steady. It is reasonably priced. It is by a team or a company that is relatively new to the gaming space. Like, there are so many factors here that make this different. Roblox is such a disingenuous comparison.
Being used to argue online. I wish none of us ever knew that metric. The idea that people are only bringing up a number to argue it is hilarious, coming from the people that are actively arguing against that number. They care. They care so much that they desperately want everybody to stop looking at it. Why should we even know this metric? Is exactly what somebody would say when the scoreboard's still on and their team is getting blown out. That number matters because it gives us a real-time snapshot of how many people are playing a game at once. It helps us gauge how successful a game is, and we need that information because it's serving as a warning for how...
People up with the two-banger. Got 620 plus hours in Palworld. Played early access too. What are my numbers? Because again, I've been incredibly busy, but with like the con and obviously streaming, making videos. So I don't have. Even so, I've got 57.2 hours in Palworld right now. I've got 57.2 hours in Palworld right now, and that's on top of playing Lords of the Fallen with Hypno, and then various other games I'm playing. I'm playing about 4 or 5 different games at once right now, and even I've put in about 60 hours into Palworld, and I didn't play it till 1.0 dropped. 60 hours and haven't played it till 1.0 dropped. I have no doubts that at some point I will have a number like this, Piplup. 620 plus hours. I'm willing to bet. Shout out. Thank you for the two-banger, homie.
How safe that game is for you to invest your time and your money into. As more games become dependent on live support, the last thing you want to do is buy into something that has no future. There are plenty of people saving their money right now because they didn't buy Marathon, even though there's a ton of people that are saying that, oh, it's one of the greatest games ever made, even though it's struggling to hold water. Only the most stalwart Nintendo fans could look at this situation and decide, you know what, the real problem is too much transparency. But you know what? I'll tell you what. The real reason why people care about these numbers is the message they send. Pokemon has spent years in squalor, putting in the least amount of effort, generation after generation, while maximizing their profits the entire way through.
And I used to love Pokemon. I did. I used to fucking love Pokemon. The fall off for this IP is generational. Because Pokemon... kids today are still playing it. Kids today still love Pokemon. But these kids do not know what we had. Kids today do not know. Try to give a kid today Ruby. Try to give a kid today that has only played like Let's Go Pikachu or Scarlet and Violet or something like that. Try to give them OG Ruby. They would hate that shit. Even though it is objectively a far better game than either one that I just mentioned. Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. This just ain't my fucking Gen 3 nostalgia, because even though that is my favorite generation. No. When you look at the mechanics, when you look at the breeding, when you look at the world map, when you look at how the Pokemon like team building, when you look at the tournament scene, when you look at the communal aspect of in-person trading, all of that is so much better. It is so much more community-based. It is so much more friends hanging out together on their couch, fucking link cable together with their Game Boy SPs. These kids don't know what we had. They love this, and they don't realize that this Pokemon is in its Disney Star Wars era. Those are the first Star Wars movies they've ever seen when we grew up with the original trilogy.
Pokemon is the largest media franchise in history, generating more than $100 billion in revenue.
My bad. Retro Mice with a 5-banger. Despite Palworld's success, Digimon is far better compared to Pokemon. Namely, the anime characters growing up on like Ash Ketchum, who remains 10. I love Digimon. When I was a kid, I liked Digimon as anime-wise more than Pokemon. Now, obviously, I've actually, I've said this before, I've never played any of the Digimon games. Well, that's not true. I played one of them on PS1 way back in the day, but I don't know which one it was. I've never seriously got into the Digimon games. One of you guys, I think it was Angmar. Maybe it was No Hearts Left. Someone gifted me a bunch of Digimon games. I am going to get to them. I'm going to play them. I try and play every game that you guys gift me, unless it's those whack-ass porno games, Eric motherfucking Jenkins. But all in all, so I will get to them. But yeah, just looking at the anime, I love the Digimon so much more than Pokemon.
By 2024. And the only way that players are going to be able to make their voices heard over its loudest defenders and also its biggest spenders, people who seem completely happy with just eating shit, is for another game to come along with numbers that genuinely threaten it. Steam concurrent player counts give us those numbers, and on that top 10 peak concurrent list that I had shown, Palworld sits above Cyberpunk 2077, which sold 40 million.
When I said competitive and whatnot, I more so meant because you were correct. The actual competitive scene for Pokemon isn't a good place. I meant like the team building strategies and the difficulty curve of the games when you're playing the classic games, because everything is so streamlined and simplified now. It is easier. The barrier to, so maybe if I didn't say it properly, that's what I meant.
Million copies. Elden Ring, which sold 30 million. Hogwarts Legacy, which sold 40 million. These are numbers that actively challenge some of Pokemon's highest selling and highest performing games. Palworld is multi-platform. It's widely accessible, and it gives people a reason not to choose Nintendo now that there is a real alternative that is out there. So when I see people that are tweeting Pokemon doesn't have to do anything because it's the largest entertainment franchise, or that they're floating theories that Sony is secretly funding and running an online campaign against Pokemon, or that everyone celebrating Palworld is just pretending to like it just to spike Pokemon fans, I have to appreciate the sheer Omega level ego required to believe that any of this is about you. It's not about you. It's about getting around you and reaching a franchise that has spent years shielded from criticism, a franchise that has left countless players behind while farming the blind faith of its most devoted consumers by serving them swill at a premium price.
And not too long from now, we have Beast of Reincarnation coming out. If Palworld has not convinced these haters, Beast of Reincarnation won't either. I am truly excited for Beast of Reincarnation. I want to see what that team can do when they're not working on fucking Pokemon. And if that game comes out and it's a banger, we know who to blame. We know that all the blame goes to Nintendo. Like that's what it boils down to. There is now, if Beast of Reincarnation fucking sucks, which I don't think it will, but obviously there's a chance. It can't just be Nintendo we talking mad shit on. It can't. I'm very curious how the Pokemon fangirls are going to react to Beast of Reincarnation. Yep, exactly.
Palworld doesn't need to destroy Pokemon. It only needs to prove that there are millions of people that are out there that are waiting for someone to deliver something that Nintendo refused to. And that's exactly what this game has done. And it did so perfectly. It did so for half the price with no DLC, no microtransactions, or no live service. Unlike Pokemon, they make you fools pay for evolutions. What are you talking about? You're not even a part of this conversation anymore. You obviously don't even want your games to get any better. And these plutonium-enriched retards are coping harder than I have ever seen. And what makes this all so frustrating is that it's for their own benefit. This game needs competition. Pokemon and Nintendo as a company needs competition.
I agree with this completely. Like, Nintendo has no competition in a whole, but let's just talk about Pokemon. There are other Monster Tamer games. There have always been other Monster Tamer games. Digimon has always existed alongside Pokemon. Monster Rancher was great back in the day. Yokai Watch put out games. I would even make the argument. Yes, he did say retards. Fucking amazing. That Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a competitor to Pokemon. Why didn't they ever go after them? Why didn't Nintendo ever go after any of those? Because they weren't a threat. It wasn't actual competition. They were just other Monster Tamer games. They were not a genuine threat. Palworld is. Palworld is. That's why they went after them. Because for the very first time, there was actual competition, and Nintendo felt threatened.
Anytime any company or service or product is left to its own devices where it has no competition and it effectively has a monopoly, well, they switch from value creation to value extraction, and Nintendo has been running that gambit for decades now. Now, this is when I inevitably hear, but there were other creature collectors. True, but they've also proven that they are not adequate competition. They make fantastic games. Digimon Time Strangers was great. I loved that game. And I also heard that Monster Hunter Stories is also really good. But these guys have not made a dent. They've not even made a scratch, and they've been at it for years now, decades in the case of Digimon. Palworld left a gaping wound. This game is massive. If you want anybody to blame for your favorite game being threatened, why don't you try blaming the company that left any room for competition, the company that put in the least amount of effort possible?
And this is an interesting comment from Rabnad. Shin Megami Tensei and Persona are a few good examples. But and unlike the examples I gave, it's like Monster Rancher, again, back in the day, Digimon, even now, it does target a similar demographic that Pokemon does, just like Palworld. Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, yes, those are technically Monster Tamer games, but it is not the same demographic. The people that are playing Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, by and large, on the fucking, what's it called? The Venn diagram, are mostly not the same people playing Pokemon. So it's not competition.
The company that continued to charge you more while offering you less, and then sued anybody else that even tried to come between you. You're triggered over parody designs and the fact that another game exists other than yours. Absolutely pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. It's so sad to see. I would block most of these people if it wasn't so entertaining to see them melt down. But we're not done yet. No, we still got more, because Palworld's not done either. Not only is this their second step towards their success, but this is going to be a continued success. And no matter what Nintendo tries to do, and no matter what lies people try to say, Palworld has become inevitable. So we've been kind of leading up to this, but the one thing that really motivated this follow-up video was the...
Shout out, appreciate you, Evan, with a 10-banger. The thing that other monster games... Oh, shit, my chat just scrolled. There we go. The thing with other monster games, they aren't targeting the Pokemon audience. If anything, they're targeting the audience that's aged out or abandoned Pokemon. I would say that's partially true. Like, I do think Digimon, for example, does in fact target the same audience as Pokemon, but it is also different enough to where it targets another audience. There is more crossover between, say, Digimon and Pokemon than Persona and Pokemon, even though they're both Monster Tamer games. But I mostly agree with you, but think there's a bit more nuance to it, at least with the Monster Tamer games that have got these anime aesthetics and more cutesy designs and are very easily accessible for like the 10-year-old, the 8 to, let's say, 13-year-old audience. Those are the ones that have crossover with Pokemon. But yeah, all in all, I get what you're saying. Shout, thank you for the 10-banger. I'm just gonna get you a clip.
I'm loving the game. The game would absolutely get a pretty high score from me.
How many bananas?
A solid 8.5 incher for sure.
I didn't, what? No.
And wouldn't it be nice to live together?
Shout out, appreciate you.
Overwhelming amount of disinformation surrounding the Pocketpair and Nintendo lawsuit. People have been spending years now framing that legal battle as something that it never was, while openly accusing Pocketpair of a crime that they were never charged with: plagiarism. That accusation was largely left hanging after the game had entered into early access, open to interpretation, and well, much of that is to the fault of games media. Soon after Palworld had launched, a huge portion of the coverage consisted of games journalists and developers that were dragging the game for its creature designs and its premise. Eurogamer, quite literally just angry because the game was popular. PC Gamer, Eurogamer, IGN, VGC, GameSpot, Kotaku, all of these guys just kept circulating these claims about stolen assets, plagiarism, generative AI, and they were convinced that Pocketpair had done something heinous. Yet once the game had now reached 1.0, every single one of these guys is silent. Not a single one of these outlets ever went back to correct their accusations or the drama that they helped spread. The only retrospective coverage that I could find was
We got to remember, these are the same outlets that act like post legitimate goon bait articles for Pokemon. These are the same outlets. They will write articles about, fucking Bunnery or Lucario or Machop or whatever being sexy, sexualizing them. They've got such a hard on for Nintendo because the people writing these articles are the millennials that grew up with Pokemon and now have all these mental illnesses and depressions and are all trunified, and they fucking think that they can just live off disability because of their depression, but they can make, $30 as a freelancer for Kotaku. They need Pokemon because that is part of their lifeblood. It's part of the only thing keeping their mental illnesses fucking in check. Palworld's the new kid on the block, and they're terrified of it, mainly because most of them can't be gooned to. Shout out to Sockmet, who I put on the thumbnail of this here stream. Most of them can't be gooned to, and they don't have the nostalgia for it. They want to see it fail. As much as they hate people like me and you guys out there calling out the truth, talking about what's going on in gaming, they need the nostalgia that they grew up with to sustain themselves because they are perpetual children that never grew up.
It's from Dexerto, which had reported that the person that was claiming that they had discovered proof of the stolen Palworld models, well, they had actually altered those models to make the plagiarism accusations appear more convincing. And despite all of their reporting on the Nintendo's lawsuit against Palworld, none of these outlets ever bothered to mention that the lawsuit never had any claims of plagiarism. Their silence left the original narrative intact this entire time. The unhinged Nintendo fans have been feeding on it ever since then. We've been seeing these people ask genuinely how or why should anybody ever give Palworld a pass. Then someone responding to the claim that Palworld never stole anything had said, it's not a stretch, don't listen to that dolt. Palworld's first controversy was that it used AI in the character building process by feeding every Pokemon into an AI to mix and match them into new ones. Another one had said the developer has spoken highly about generative AI in the past. Palworld exists purely to create controversy and leech off the Pokemon brand. Now,
I love these absolute losers that throw a fit about Pocketpair using AI. Because every single developer, AAA, indie, whatever, they're all using it. They're going to pretend they don't. And they're going to stand with the moral outrage of the gamers when it's called out. When I was like, well, we don't use it. Or oh, you caught us. We'll never do it again. We're so sorry. Capcom's using it. Square Enix is using it. Nintendo's using it. Bethesda's using it. Well, actually, Bethesda is not using it because they don't make games anymore. But like Insomniac, Activision, they're all using AI. They don't want to admit it because they think it'll alienate the fans without realizing most people don't fucking care. The anti-AI crowd is it might be an even more vocal minority than fucking trannies at this point.
We have people that are, yet again, fabricating images of the new legendary creature Panthalis to make it resemble Kyogre, and the media is there once again helping them to circulate it through articles that perpetuate that lie. Then we see posts that are claiming that Pocketpair changed the creature designs in 1.0 because of the lawsuit, and once again, journalists are helping to carry a completely false premise into a wider conversation when every, and I mean every, early access game ends up making massive changes to the designs just by full release. So I'm going to say this once. Pocketpair was never sued over their creature designs. There is no plagiarism or trademark case. Nintendo's entire legal attack was built around patents covering gameplay mechanics that they believed that they had a right to control, including throwing a ball or an object to capture a creature, mounting a summoned creature, and more recently, touchscreen functionality used to capture a creature.
Again, all things that have been done in other games. Several of those things have been done in games first before Pokemon ever even hit the scene or implemented those mechanics, and Nintendo never went after them. I raised the question why. Because the other games that use those similar mechanics, sometimes the exact same mechanics, weren't a threat. There's a reason that FromSoft doesn't go after every other game making Souls-likes, despite the fact that most of them seem like they're relatively fucking identical. It's because you can't patent that shit. You can try, but it's a fruitless endeavor. And it does not make your company look good. FromSoft is smart. If FromSoft were to go after every company that made Souls-like games, they would be the most hated motherfuckers on the planet, like Nintendo is now. Obviously, they would still have their diehards that will buy every single new fucking Souls-like or Elden Ring expansion or whatnot, but the court of public opinion would crucify them. I genuinely struggle to understand how Nintendo is this blind to it, how they are this stupid. Or I don't think it's stupidity, actually. I don't. That was dumb of me to say. Nintendo knows they have you by the balls, or at least their core fan base by the balls, who will play anything and everything Nintendo because it's Nintendo, everything Pokemon because it's Pokemon. They don't fucking care. You are their bitch. They have the exact same mentality as Sony when Sony says we're not reversing our decision on physical games because we know you're going to show up to play anyway. Nintendo is no different than Sony in that regard. Most of these companies, the ones that don't have the fuck you money that Nintendo and Sony have, they understand the court of public opinion.
That's why so many of these journalists who quite literally cheered for Nintendo to sue Pocketpair suddenly lost their voices once the lawsuits began. These cases had demonstrated that while some of Palworld's creatures were undoubtedly inspired by Pokemon, Nintendo was not alleging that Pocketpair had stolen their models or plagiarized their designs. Instead, these people had summoned the devil and then wanted to cry about what they had done, crying about all these games that were going to get caught in Nintendo's crosshairs and how damaging it would be for the rest of the industry. That is also why a lot of these same outlets have now surrendered themselves to positive coverage. They're publishing guides, reporting on player numbers, and even celebrating the fact that Pokemon finally has competition, all without acknowledging the narrative that they helped create. Luckily, Nintendo has walked away with nothing, losing their efforts in both the United States and also Japan, largely just due to the absurdity of their...
You want to know why they need our money, Desmond, bro? They needed our money because there was competition. They needed our money because we had to make choices. The PlayStation 2 library was massive. The PlayStation 2 library was insane. You had banger after banger after banger coming out. They were $50 fucking, and you were a kid with an allowance. You could not afford multiple games. You had to make a fucking choice. So these devs, these companies, they had to put their best foot forward and make actual fucking games that were competing with one another because they needed to win you over. When there is no competition, and when there's only consolidation, there is no innovation.
Their patents. I mean, come on, man. Some of this stuff is absolutely ridiculous, but apparently some of it's also because of Nintendo's most hated force in existence, fan-made games. The plagiarism accusation stopped having anything to do with evidence a long time ago. It has always just been this moral excuse that people have used to not accept that Palworld has earned its audience. Inspiration, plagiarism, stolen assets, generative AI, patent infringement, copyright infringement, all of these things are just completely different accusations that were all thrown into the exact same bucket because accuracy would require these guys to admit that they had lost most of their case years ago. But none of that stopped Palworld from becoming the success that it is. Maybe it slowed it down. Maybe the lawsuits created some uncertainty. Maybe 2 years of people screaming plagiarism, AI, stolen assets, and fraud convinced enough people to stay away from it, but it didn't stunt the game's growth. And nearly 1 million people showing up at the exact same time 2 years later is proof of that. Palworld is not some temporary meme anymore.
But here's the deal. I actually disagree with this, Rabnad. You say they shut up and enjoy Pokemon in their corner, it'll be fine. They have to go on the attack and refuse to be involved in that. No, I disagree with you. If they just shut up and enjoy Pokemon in their corner, that still wouldn't be fine. Because that means these people are accepting mediocrity. And that is what Pokemon is. If I'm being generous, it's mediocrity. I don't want people enjoying mediocrity. I want people rejecting mediocrity. I want people to be smart enough to reject mediocrity and only spend their money on good shit. Because doing so generates competition, which in turn only creates more good shit.
Or it isn't a novelty, it isn't Pokemon with guns, and it isn't some early access scam that people thought that they were just going to forget about after a month. It is a defined success with a massive audience. And again, nearly every premium game that is surrounding it on Steam's all-time concurrent player chart has gone on to sell 30 million or more copies. Those are not numbers of a game that is barely hanging on. Those are numbers of a franchise that is being built right in front of us. Pokemon doesn't just have another competitor, they have a monster to deal with.
No, you misunderstand. This isn't me saying choose Palworld instead of Pokemon. This is me saying don't choose Pokemon. To the people that are celebrating the mediocrity and still playing Pokemon, I'm not even saying stop playing Pokemon, go play Palworld. I'm just saying stop playing Pokemon, quit spending money on mediocrity.
World is offering almost everything that fans have been asking for Pokemon to do for years, and then they go beyond it. Open world exploration, meaningful multiplayer, base building, survival systems, deeper creature utility, and monsters that actually matter outside of just standing in a field and just slapping each other. It does all of this for less money, and most importantly, across nearly every major platform. That means that Palworld isn't just giving people an alternative to Pokemon, they're giving them an alternative to Nintendo. You don't need to buy their hardware, you don't need to pay their prices, you don't even need to wait around hoping for the next game to run properly. You can buy Palworld and play it on your PC or your favorite console that you already own with friends that probably were never even considering to buy a Nintendo system at all. And Pocketpair clearly is not treating this game like it's a one-time fluke. They have a trading card game, a dating simulator, a farming game, more updates on the way, and probably a lot more that we don't even know yet. As ridiculous as the premise is, there is a real chance that Palworld just keeps getting better,
If the fat electrician is still making videos in 10 years, I guarantee you there'll be a Pocketpair video. Like the rise of Pocketpair. How Pocketpair dethroned Nintendo, something like that. Because this is like, you know, what did I just say? Yeah, exactly, Lessis. Correct. This is an IP that kids and people are going to grow up with the same way that us millennials grew up with Pokemon. This is not just 30 and 40-year-old millennials fucking like turning our back on Pokemon and choosing Palworld out of spite. This is a new IP with millions of players the world over. Catch you later, Sheila. I'll have a good rest of your night. And it is here to stay.
expanding and keeps picking up steam. And then what happens when a year or two from now we actually get a sequel that gets announced? What happens when they take everything that they've learned, all the feedback, all the mistakes, and all the money that they've made, and they build something that's even bigger? Palworld has already proved that millions of people were waiting for an alternative. The next one might prove that Nintendo waited too long to realize what they let through the door. I am 100% a dejected Pokemon fan, somebody that grew up with the franchise but became more and more disappointed as years went on and finally just separated myself from it. I don't like Palworld just because I want to spite people, and I don't make videos like this just because I want to stick it to Nintendo, though. I'm not going to lie. It does feel good to when I get the opportunity, but I hope that this somehow leads to better Pokemon games. I hope it leads to bigger and better Palworld games and bigger and better games from other developers in the future. And while I fully understand that this is a franchise that wasn't going to grow up with me, and I understand that it's a franchise that's made for kids, I never thought it was a franchise that was going to essentially just devolve into nothing more than premium price slop. That's all.
Retro Meister with a 5-banger. Nintendo, Pocketpair, are you mad? Pocketpair, slowly turns their head. Shut your mouth, you mediocre player. Nintendo, mediocre. They are. And it's not just Pokemon. Like, it's mostly Pokemon. But I think that with the upcoming Ocarina of Time remake, we're going to see if they're mediocre with that as well. Like, you have the gall to remake arguably the most lauded video game of all time. And what's it going to amount to? I am guessing mediocrity. I am guessing dumbed down mechanics. I am guessing dumbing down the story. I am guessing dumbing down of the localization. I am guessing dumbing down of the difficulty curve. Like, yeah. Now, I want to be wrong. I am a massive Zelda fan. Like, without a doubt, my favorite Nintendo IP, and I am still a fan, is The Legend of Zelda. I pray that I'm wrong about what I just said. But I don't think I will be. I don't think I will be wrong with that. I think we're about to see that what's been happening with Pokemon for the last 10 years, if not more, is now going to affect other Nintendo IPs. IPs that I genuinely love, like Zelda, like Mario. The only one that I can't see that happening to is Kirby and Smash Bros. Because Masahiro Sakurai is a mad lad. Absolute mad lad. But Sakurai ain't going to be around forever. And I don't want there to be another Smash Bros. I said that on my Smash Bros. Stream last week. I do not want another Smash Bros. Ultimate was that. It was Ultimate. It was perfect. Give us an updated version of Ultimate on the Switch 2, maybe, with more characters, things like that. Like just basically just keep updating Ultimate, because I don't think you can top it. It's the perfect Smash game. Shout out. Thank you so much, Retromeister. You definitely got your $5 worth out of that one.
All it is. They're just farming the people that just keep giving them money for whatever reason. And, you know, somebody needed to step up. Somebody needed to show up and put them in their place. And I think that's largely what's happened recently. And I think that's how a lot of people feel. I think that's why a lot of people are excited about this game and why people want to support it. Nintendo has just gotten way too confident in their walled garden. They've largely just not had any competition, not any real competition. Nintendo and Xbox and PlayStation have just been having a competition between each other to see who can suck more. But, you know, Nintendo has just tried to farm nostalgia, and they've had this audience of people that have been locked into their console that honestly, in a lot of ways, probably just don't know better. I hate to say it like that, but it's like, if you're just a solely Nintendo gamer, you're not really getting exposed to a lot of other stuff in the wider industry, and games take a long time to be able to get to you in a lot of cases. So in most cases, the games that you have to play are the Nintendo ones, and, you know, give credit where credit is due. Nintendo doesn't have a lot of competition for their games because of the unique premise of their games, the unique premise of their audience. But what that means is that without that,
and honestly, Nintendo is still smart in a lot of regards. Like it's not a case of, like, let's take, you know, Mario, for example. Mario has a distinct visual style, distinct art direction. In fact, multiple distinct art directions, because you've got the 2D, the 3D, you got Paper Mario. Like, the iconography of Mario is undefeated. Both Mario movies made over $1 billion at the box office. I haven't actually seen fall off in any mainline Mario game. Now, to be fair, we've not gotten a mainline Mario game on the Switch 2 yet. But like Mario is still being treated with care. People loved that. What was that multiplayer one that came out a couple years ago? Super Mario Wonder, I think it was called. I didn't play that one, but like Nintendo seems to still give a fuck about Mario. I also don't really think you can make Mario mediocre because of its simplicity. I would love to see how they make Mario mediocre. I truly don't know how you could even fucking do that. But yeah, everything else, the more, and all Nintendo games are relatively simple. Like, yeah, Metroid is notably more difficult than Mario, for sure. Zelda, a bit more difficult than Mario. The more difficult the IPs are, the easier it is to make them mediocre. And yeah, I mean, I agree. Fuck the Switch 2. I don't have one. I won't be getting one. There's no reason to.
That competition without other games to be able to make that comparison to those games, and their quality slips over time, they just get worse, and they continue to until somebody finally steps up and can take.
This may be true, Lessus, about the new Super Mario games being mediocre. I only ever played the first one, just New Super Mario Bros., and I liked that one. I didn't play any of the others, but I can believe this, that they all blend together.
The crown from them in this case. And I think that while Palworld hasn't taken the crown necessarily, it probably has for a lot of people. I know that I know none of this is going to stop any of the cope. Half of the people that are trying to more than half of the people are trying to tear down Palworld. They're actually just mentally ill. I kind of really understand that now, especially looking at some of these people's profiles and seeing the people that are posting on Twitter. That's just really guys that are just shaking cups for Twitter chains for gas money more than anything else. But, you know, I wanted to try to do my best to be able to set the record straight with this video because I thought it was necessary to do so. I have a lot of respect for this game. I have a lot of respect for the people that made it, and I want to do whatever I can to be able to make sure that people get the right message about this game. And for whatever reason, if you have been holding off from playing it because of any of this discourse, ignore it all and just give the game a shot because it's 100% worth it. You know, as I've said before, this game does hold like a very special place in my heart because it came from the starting of this channel. And I had actually reached out to Bucky, their community manager for Pocketpair and for Palworld, and gave them my thanks and gave them my appreciation and told them how great it was to actually see the game reach the point that it has. And these guys are really excited. They're really happy with everything that's going on, and they're all feeling pretty positive about what they're going to be doing in the future. And they took Nintendo's basic formula and they stretched it far beyond what I think a lot of people thought anybody probably would. Well, I think a lot of people try to say that these games are not comparable. You're absolutely right. Palworld just does so much more.
I have not played Metroid Dread, admittedly. I've played the original Metroid. I talked about this on stream yesterday, or maybe it was just in a Discord call. I think it was on stream. I've played the original Metroid, Fusion, Zero Mission, and then Prime 1 and 2. Those are the only Metroid games I've played. Far and away, my favorite are Metroid Prime 1 and 2. But I would need to play more 3D Metroid games and more 2D Metroid games to really have a basis of comparison.
And while it might not be perfect, and a lot of that stuff isn't necessarily refined, what happens when it is? That's the question that you should be asking. That's the question that I'm looking forward to. Palworld as it is already so deep and so complex. It's absolutely absurd. So I just can't wait to see what these guys do next. But I'm also looking to see when these guys start posting some player numbers. I've been hearing some rumblings from some of their people that I had talked to. We might be hearing something soon. I think it should be pretty interesting. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, share it on social media, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Peace.
Excellent video. At the end of the day, I think it's simple. All these people, all these Nintendo fanboys, they are not going to matter. They are not going to matter in a year from now. Pocketpair has done wonders with Palworld. It's not just its own singular thing. As he mentioned, there's a trading card game in the works. That's going to be a competitor to Pokemon. It is. TCGs are huge. Man, when I was at Siege this past weekend, the Southeast Game Exchange, there were people playing fuck tons of card games. There was lots of vendors selling cards, right? A lot of anime card games, the One Piece card game, the Dragon Ball card game. TCGs are still big. Like, there's a lot of shit with Pokemon and with Magic the Gathering, but those aren't, and Yu-Gi-Oh!, those aren't the only ones out there. Palworld putting out a TCG, that's going to do numbers. The dating sim, yeah, that's kind of a meme sort of thing or whatnot, but it's still going to do numbers. I'd play it for the meme. I would, dude, if that game came out, I would absolutely play it on stream for the meme. I say obviously it will come out. When it comes out, I would play for a grift, obviously, the Palworld dating sim on stream. I think that'd be funny as shit. The farm simulator, nah, that's not for me. I don't really like farm simulators, but there's going to be a market for it. This is an IP that is going to have legs. I think it's going to have legs the same way that Dragon Ball is still going. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is still going. Obviously, Pokemon is still going. These, it's going to be an IP that ends up becoming truly generational.